My friend Sandra Gregor. We're here to talk
My friend Annette Carlozzi.
We're here to talk about Austin's art scene and how it's evolved over time. You and I both saw it back in, now we call it early days because it was 50
A lot of
years
history
ago.
has gone down.
Absolutely. So you played a really key role at a number of organizations, but I want to kind of zoom in, if I could, and we'll go backwards where the conversation leads us, but I want to zoom into when you took over the organization that was then called Texas Fine Arts Association. And I should say from the start that TFAA becomes Art House, and Art House merges with Austin Museum of Art and becomes the Contemporary Austin. So the roots of this organization really start with TFAA, Texas Fine Arts Association.
Which goes back to 1911.
Yes, indeed.
So
tell us, what was it like when you took over? Why'd you take over?
I took over because they had just fired their previous director for embezzlement.
Oh my God.
And I thought, well, at least I'm honest, so whatever I do is going to have that in one column. And because when I worked at Laguna Gloria, I had seen TFAA from the inside all for 4 years that I worked there, and I just saw so many ways that I thought this could be a more vibrant organization.
Yeah.
And so when that opening came up, I thought, what do I have to lose?
I love that you leapt at it. Your background was arts administration, and what you were doing at Laguna Gloria was more public relations related things. And yet, I love that you saw this as an opportunity to really express your vision and leadership for an organization.
I really did. It was very exciting for me to be hired as that position. And
Director, executive director,
yeah,
what did they call
executive director. There was only one other staff person,
Right.
and that
Small
was my assistant.
Yeah.
Thank goodness I had one. And I just felt like contemporary art deserved more. And with a Texas in their names, I had this idea that instead of being an organization of individual groups that were city-based, like the Dallas Fine Arts Association, and Laguna Gloria was actually the chapter in Austin. So there were chapters around the state, maybe, I really don't remember, but I think something like 20, 25 chapters around the state.
Fine Arts Associations.
And I just thought, why don't we become one central organization and have individual membership in Texas Fine Arts Association, and that we would have more numbers behind us, and I could create a kind of unified vision of what we wanted to do. And so some of the board members and I actually went to some of the individual chapters around the state, kind of saying, this is what we're thinking, what do you think about it? And then they always had an annual meeting. So we took a vote at the annual meeting and we won.
Struck the board.
And so the board and I started talking about, what do we want to do with this organization?
Yeah.
And at the time, healthcare was a real concern,
Right.
because many artists didn't have regular jobs,
Right.
they were part-time,
Right.
and so we found an organization that would provide health care.
Let's place this roughly date-wise, chronologically, because of course these are ongoing concerns, but I'd love to know, because you were the first I knew that really addressed this.
I think this was I think I started in 1984, 85.
Okay.
Maybe it was right when the year was changing.
Yeah.
And so it was during that time. It was before, there was any national concern for it. So that was a good thing, and
Brilliant.
a lot of people liked that. And
You had artists join just to get access to the health insurance who had never thought of joining before,
yeah,
for the benefits that had come before.
We did.
Ability to be part of a member's exhibition.
That was an important part of it because there was a members-only exhibition each year, and they were always in Laguna Gloria because we had an arrangement that TFAA got 3 shows a year at Laguna Gloria, as you will remember.
I was the curator.
As the person who had to give up those 3 shows.
Those 3 slots, yeah.
So I just thought that outreach was important and marketing was important. And so I recruited, I thought, the 2 top graphic designers in Austin, Herman Dial and Mike Hicks.
Yeah.
And they were so kind to donate their time to start doing the brochures for these national juried shows. And
did you start the national juried shows?
No.
Okay.
But very importantly, the first juror I got was Patterson Sims, who worked at the Whitney. He was a curator at the Whitney. And so I just got an appointment, marched into his office. I don't know, I was a little fearless sometimes.
You're so fearless, Sandra. Come on.
And so I told him what we were doing and what we could offer as an honorarium and increase the offer that we could make as an honorarium. And he said he was interested. And he said, have you ever thought about changing the name? At that time, it was the 76th annual TFAA National Exhibition.
Yeah.
And he said, just off the top of his brilliant head, what about we call it New American Talent?
Yeah.
And I said, I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So we did that.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of a real change of just to the outer world, that this is something different.
Yes.
And I thought if jurors are going to see artworks and make a decision about what gets to be in the show based on a slide, the more they see, the better they're going to have to choose from. It just was common sense. So I had our marketing person, we had a part-time person who did the computer stuff, which I knew nothing about. And I said, I want every art school in America to get these brochures. And we sent packets of maybe 10 to major art schools and university.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Art departments.
Yeah.
So instead of getting 350 entries, we got 1,700 entries for the next show.
And people had to pay a fee to enter, right?
They had to pay a fee.
It was a modest fee. But
It was modest. But within a few years, we started giving them return shipping. I mean, they had to pay for shipping too.
Yeah, that was the convention in the day.
Yeah, it was.
All over the
country. It was different.
Yeah.
And
it still exists that way in some places. Yeah.
True.
But you moved it forward.
But getting somebody from a top museum in the country to see them instead of somebody that maybe didn't have the same name recognition was very important.
Yeah.
And that first show, I remember a New York gallery sent an outsider artist that they carried. I cannot remember his name. He was a great old black guy. And they sent about a 6 by 7 foot painting of his that got in the show.
Yeah.
And I was just amazed that somebody like that was entering this show.
Yeah, terrific expansion of the kind of vision of what even a contemporary art show could be. Yeah.
So it was really fun to at that, and that the brochure was very readable and was very attractive. Excuse me.
Now the brochure, I'm thinking of catalogs and brochures, and what's the distinction there?
The brochure is what the artist told them all the rules of how the show was going to, who's going to be the juror,
The initial piece
how they
that
needed to
get.
proceed.
Right,
The catalogs that we started publishing
yes.
were for all the people that got in the show.
All credit to you. I mean, that had not existed before.
Well, we decided we had to give the artist something from it.
Yeah.
And so we did that. And then we got the juror to come to the opening. We invited all the artists that got in the show to come to the opening.
Mm-hmm.
So that opened another little doorway.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got the juror to give a talk
Mm-hmm.
that was open to the public
Mm-hmm.
at no cost.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave some terrific talks.
Yeah.
They were really good.
Yeah.
So over time, we had jurors from the Museum of Modern Art. We had Chicago Art Institute. We had MoCA in San Francisco, Museum of Contemporary Art in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
We just got people that really knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And
Which in a way increases, I mean, I was sort of tracking at the time peer curators and curators a generation ahead of me who were interested, like Marcia Tucker, in traveling around the country and sort of understanding the regional scene in addition to whatever coast they lived on. And your effort through Texas Fine Arts Association helped embellish that, develop that, expand that. More curators traveling around.
well, I hope
Paid
so.
to travel around. It's critical.
And they would make artist studio visits when they were in town.
Yeah.
So, you know.
We think of Art Pace nowadays doing that as
Yeah.
a venue that does that, but truly,
Exactly.
I mean, you started it back at TFAA, I think.
Well, it just all was intuitive. It just all seemed to make sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, you want to get the top people, you want to get the most artists
Yeah.
involved that you can. The shows just got better and better, so that instead of somewhat being an embarrassment for Laguna Gloria, they were happy to have them.
Absolutely. Now, you guys got caught up in the transition of building evolutions for Laguna Gloria in the sense that you had always been promised space at Laguna Gloria for these exhibitions, which then included Laguna Gloria First Federal, I think, as well, the downtown site
It did.
back in the day. But then when the museum started focusing more on the potential for a downtown building, which at that time didn't take shape ever, was that what partially moved you all as an organization to think about getting your own space?
I think it was the unsureness
Yeah,
of the continuation of that place to show,
right.
because it was always a very wonderful place to show.
Yeah.
And the idea of this organization was based in the state capitol,
Mhm.
and it seemed like it would be very, almost intuitive again to
Yeah,
have a space
Yeah.
in the state capitol
Yeah.
to exhibit the state's artists.
Yeah.
So that began taking hold. I looked at a lot of spaces around town.
Mhm.
With different board members, of course,
Mhm.
and in different parts of town, East Austin. But Perry Lorenz was very helpful.
Okay.
He was my realtor, our realtor at the time.
Yeah.
And he said that the building at 7th and Congress had come open. And I thought, right down from the legislature, how good is that? So we looked at that building and bought it for $375,000, I believe.
I know.
I wish I held the mortgage on that building. But then there was renovations and things. But we got it to a state so that we had one of the big parties there. And that was another change. We had structural changes that I made, marketing changes, and then programmatic changes.
Mhm.
And we started having an auction every year and invited artists and architects
Mhm.
to contribute and came up with a theme.
Mhm.
I think the first one was the Birdhouse Show.
That's what I remember, yeah.
And it's just uncanny that the amount of money that we cleared from that show was the amount of money we were under at that time.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing.
So that filled your budget gap.
So we had that wonderful bathhouse by Lake Flato
Yeah.
that somebody was on the phone bidding and somebody was in the room bidding, and we had an auctioneer from Christie's there.
Right.
And I think it went for $28,000.
Oh,
It was
my
just
God.
amazing.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I wish I had a picture of my face as the auction was going up and up and up.
What I love about this kind of interview, starting with you, Sandra, is just the ways in which it can make vibrant and vital and clear what the leadership at all these different points throughout history have made to the Austin art scene. And we both know, having been here for decades, that, you know, every decade that comes in doesn't know about what happened 2 decades ago. And this
Or
is such
yesterday.
This is such an exciting story of the development of what could have been and was, frankly, when I first got to know it, just a sleepy little kind of regional organization that was just kind of going through the steps. And you completely transformed it in ways that the national scene was exploring as well at the same time.
I'm sure that was a stimulus too.
Of course it was, but you were drawing from everywhere and you weren't seeing limitations because people didn't know what the organization was. You were just, what's the Star Trek phrase? You were, going forth. I'm not going to remember the words.
I just kind of took it as a blank slate.
Yeah.
But we were able to recruit such good people for the board,
Sure.
which is really the foundation of any nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
You can't exist without a good board.
Yeah.
So reaching out to prominent people in the community, adding an advisory council of artists to the board.
Right, you did that.
So you could get prominent artists who didn't have a lot of time to spend, but maybe they could have a phone conversation, or maybe they could come to a meeting once a year. And so that really helped us. Then we started the Collector Circle, which was another way to give a kind of recognition to prominent artists in the state that we chose once a year to do a print. And Flatbed Press was very instrumental in helping to underwrite that by letting us use their printers. They organized all of that. So we got terrific people like David Bates and Michael Ray Charles and Lee something.
Lee Smith III.
Lee Smith, thank you. The third. And we got, and that was all always helping underwrite our budget every year.
Right.
Because when I started, the budget in 1985 was $65,000.
Oh my God.
And that was for a director and an assistant.
Yeah.
And anything that happened in between.
And the revenues from the jury shows paid for the program, because that was the program.
Yeah.
And Laguna Gloria subsidized the space, essentially.
The space, the installation.
Labor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But when I left in 1998, the budget was almost $1 million.
Sandra, that's huge. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot.
Maybe that's why I left.
Huge.
It was almost $1 million.
That is just huge. I was just recently at the Rose Art Museum outside of Boston, and big university museum, amazing work done, and their budget's like $2.5 million, and that's now. So $1 million then, Sandra.
4 years ago.
Oh my God.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, that was with, fundraising for the building.
Sure. That's inclusive of the capital campaign, probably.
Yeah. But another thing we did that was really helpful was we started working with the Art and Art History Department at UT.
Cool. Yeah.
And the first year, we, I can't remember who their contact was that first year, but we did a conference that became very popular.
Mm-hmm.
They were a terrific help, and they helped to underwrite it, and they gave us the space. We held it over at the UT. Or at UT. The next year, I think, is when we did one with the topic, Whatever Happened to Beauty?
Oh, yeah.
And we
Dave,
got
yeah.
Dave Hickey involved.
Yeah.
And so we had top critics and academics and jurors and curators, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, maybe 9 of them. And it was after that one that Richard Schiff became the director of the Center for Modernism.
Yeah.
And he told me, it was because of that conference you did last year that they decided, UT decided to have a Center for Modernism.
Wow.
And that made me very happy.
Of course.
Because he is such a smart man.
Oh, no.
And
He's
he writes catalogs of de Kooning.
yeah. No, he's phenomenal.
So he became a real advisor to some of those.
Yeah.
I think we had maybe 3 or 4. I'm not sure. I think their leadership changed.
I'm also thinking just globally about our community, and that handout that you asked, that you gave to UT, to the academic department, was probably one of the very few connections between the university and the community at the time.
That might be.
Because I knew when I came back in '96, I was gone for 10 years, a 10-year year almost. And when I came back to the university, it was like nobody there knew there was a city of Austin around them. Universities tend to be very insular, especially one of the largest universities in the country.
Right.
So the fact that you already had this partnership going that benefited the arts community as a whole, the arts community on campus, and Richard Schiff, my God, I had no idea you had his seal of approval. I mean, he's like God.
He was terrific to work
So
with.
that's amazing.
And I remember some Jim Lewis.
Yeah.
Do you remember Jim Lewis?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, he wanted to be
The writer.
one of the participants
Cool.
in the conference.
Yeah.
And so Richard Schiff said, well, I don't know this guy. And I said, well, what if I get you together and we have a meeting?
Yeah.
So I wish I recorded it in my office.
Yes.
They had a meeting, and Richard Schiff kind of gently drew out what did he think and where did his ideas come from.
Right.
And so he got to be on the panel.
Yeah.
That was really fun
So,
to do. And then just because the art world was changing so much with deconstruction and, there's no truth anymore, which now we live in that age, but I started sitting in on classes of Richard Schiff's just so I could kind of keep up to date, and that was really good for me and really fun. And then we started having, instead of having 3 jury shows a year, one was a national, one was a Texas only, one was a members. We started having a curated show instead of the members show. And so Sandra Goldman was the first curator.
and she was a locally based critic.
And she was getting her PhD and a critic and a writer.
Okay.
I had her do some writing for the newsletter.
Right.
And so she put together a show. Then she and I curated a show together. She did one on gender,
Yes.
fact or fiction.
Yeah.
I think might have been the title of it, which was kind of ahead of its time.
Totally. Yeah.
Because she was on the cusp of what was going
Right.
on.
Right.
And then we did one on collectors who collected outsider art. And I think then I remember those 2 that we did anyway. And that was really fun to do.
Amazing.
So we still had one show that was only for Texas artists,
Right.
the one national show,
Right.
and then a curated show.
Right.
And then we did catalogs for all those and started giving artists honoraria
Right.
and just, just trying to make contemporary art more vibrant and more understandable. And that you didn't have to know anything to walk in and look at a piece of contemporary art.
Absolutely.
And you could just think about what am I seeing?
Yeah.
And just begin to identify, what you're looking at. And then, eventually you can put it in a context of art history, who's been doing things very differently before this, and why is this important now?
Yeah.
What kind of break is that making in the tradition? And,
Amazing.
You
were the right person for the time, I think, for that.
Well, I was just so grateful to have that opportunity to, and there were such good people that I worked with.
Right.
From the designers, from the artists, the people who joined the board, who made, and I remember that board meeting where we laid it on the table. Are we going to buy this building? Is this something TFAA should do? And there were about 20 people in the room, and we went around to every board member and had them say, what do you think? Should we do this? What's good? What's bad? Are you with us?
Perfect.
And it was unanimous that we should buy it. So that building got bought, and when I think about what gives me pride about what I did, it's certainly the fact that that building exists and that in its future iterations, it was redeveloped into something that has become a real standout in terms of Laguna Gloria's and contemporary Austin's place in the community.
Absolutely.
And that Jim Hodges put the neon around the top that says, in liberty and justice for all. I could not have thought of a better
capstone.
Way, absolutely, a capstone.
Yeah. When I think about what I think of as exceptional leadership of the contemporary Austin now in the community, both as an arts organization and as an outpost for contemporary art here in the capital, as you so presciently stated from the very beginning, I think it all goes back to your strong leadership and the seeds that you planted for what this organization could be and what it could mean in the community. So congratulations, bravo, all the words, because it never would have happened without you.
And it never would have happened without the wonderful people on the board that were behind it all the way and that helped to define that leadership and maybe correct it when it went a little astray. But
it takes skill to know how to work with volunteers who are both peers and people working for you.
I had so many wonderful volunteers that came, from help us doing the bulk mail. People, and we treated them so nicely because we appreciated them so much and they knew it.
Well, all the way up to your volunteer board leadership. Just thank you for making this time. I'm so glad to have this filmed and recorded so that the record is clear.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.